morning, Lawrence. Good morning, Rachel. Great to be here. You're right. I'm in Tampa for the Student Action Summit. Turning point. I said it last hour, and I'll say it again, and I mean it. What Charlie Kirk is doing here, I think it's the most consequential student or youth movement in America that's going to have reverberating effects in our country as far as awakening young kids to their civic responsibilities. And also faith, by the way. It's 7 o'clock. Here, there is a worship service going on right behind me. So how many kids in America do you find getting up at 7 a.m. at a 3-day conference to go worship as well? So pretty cool what they're doing. Honored to be a part of it. Fox Nation, of course, covering all the speeches, including Donald Trump's speech last night. I'm talking later today, and a bunch of other folks on Fox Nation. So great to be here covering down on what Turning Point's doing.
Yeah, that
Rachel,
was it's a great conference. You're right. It's a revolution. What you started with your book, what Charlie is doing as well, is pretty remarkable. I watched your interview. It was fascinating when Charlie Kirk said, "Would you send your kids to CNN at school?" Well, that's what you're doing. I thought that was like, I wrote it down. I'm like, that's the greatest line. So great job on that, and we look forward to getting all the updates from you on this incredible conference at Turning Point. Meanwhile, yesterday we celebrated another important event. It was National Day of the American Cowboy with the mechanical bull. Of course, not surprisingly, Rachel Campos-Duffy won. I won again. But we brought back our bouncy horses, to which my short little legs had no chance up against Lawrence.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Wow. Did you look at
you
Pete?
guys
He
went
starts
twice.
to cheat. He's literally walking.
He's not bouncing, right?
He's not bouncing.
But you guys did go twice around me, which was, just showed you how quick you were. Look at that. Look at you guys pass me up.
That's where I switched to a side gallop so I could catch up. I caught up to him right there. Check the tape. Oh.
I was demoralized.
So, Pete, I was kind of disappointed because you're normally a worthy opponent, but you were 0 for 3 yesterday. You lost in the basketball competition, which was close finish, and then you lost to Rachel on the mechanical bull, and then me. And I'm just wondering if you're going to make a comeback.
Of course.
I'm going to need a comeback. 0 for 3 is a pretty bad Saturday. When I hit my first 8 shots in the three-point, when I hit my first 8 shots in the three-point contest, I thought I was on fire. I was feeling good about it, but who knew we brought in Jimmy Chipwood meets Steph Curry to shoot against me, and so he made 9 out of 10.
I'm not going to make you feel bad about the basketball, Pete. You did honestly, we were really impressed, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. That was impressive.
Thank you, Rachel.
Even though you
lost. What I love about that tape is, Rachel, you came over, and in between every shot, I looked over at you, and you had a look of sheer joy and surprise on your face, and it just made me want to make the next shot too.
That's a ride or die for you. That's a ride or die.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was fully supportive and a little surprised. Princeton brought it yesterday.
For sure.
With the slight shade. Anyway, Pete, thanks for representing us down there in Florida. We got some news to get to today because you got Hunter Biden. Where is Hunter, by the way? Look at the post. The cover of the New York Post, hunting without a license. So apparently Hunter has been doing business overseas, but he never registered as a foreign agent. So the question is, Rachel, are the walls finally closing in?
It could be. By the way, Hunter, another Ivy grad. Just noting that as well. Jonathan Turley from George Washington University, a law professor, we have him on the show a lot, believes that this may be, we may be getting close to this. Here's what he had to say. He said the recent disclosures of additional foreign contacts has only strengthened what was already a strong case. Indeed, in the last few weeks, the compelling basis for a Foreign Agents Registration Act, a FARA charge, has become unassailable and undeniable. The influence peddling schemes directly reference the president, and Joe Biden is repeatedly cited as a possible recipient of funds. This is very interesting, Pete, because, Merrick Garland has been, somebody who has done the bidding of this administration all the time that he's been in this position. It's going to be tough for him to not do it because the evidence is so overwhelming and so salacious. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before in American politics. This really is unprecedented. And yet, as an ally of the president, it's going to be hard for him to do it because the president is down right now. I mean, this could things get any worse for Joe Biden than to see Hunter Biden go to jail? And the implication of Hunter Biden going to jail also implicates him because it's just, it takes,
for sure,
everyone knows he's the big guy.
Well, can it get any worse? We're about to find out. And we know the Justice Department doesn't want to be pursuing this. Ultimately, the idea of registering as a foreign agent is one of these undeniable technicalities that following this, I didn't realize he hadn't filed at some level as a foreign agent. It's really straightforward. If you know people that have worked in D.C., or I have a friend right now who's working in Ukraine, and he said, hey, he talked to his lawyers, he said, the one thing I want to make sure I don't get hung up on is is not filing as a foreign agent. As long as my government knows that I'm having these contacts, I'm okay. Hunter Biden would have known that. Hunter and Joe Biden would have known that. And they also believed they never would be held to account. And as a result, it's easier to get away with doing it if you don't register as a foreign agent or you don't register as a lobbyist in the domestic example. And it's easier to skirt around the law. Now that they're looking at him, it's undeniable what he was doing was acting as a foreign agent. The question is, Rachel, you raised it. Will the Attorney General actually pursue this? He's been a dutiful Democrat. And here's the headline from the New York Post, an op-ed by Michael Goodwin. He said Attorney General Merrick Garland's kid gloves versus Hunter Biden. Here's a portion of the argument Michael Goodwin makes. He says, I don't think the Attorney General has the stomach to improve the indictment of the son of the man who appointed him, especially when the Biden administration, as you mentioned, Rachel, is already drowning and Democrats face a midterm shellacking. Remember that Garland proved he is the consummate team player by sicking the FBI on parents who complained at school board meetings. If he was willing to weaponize the feds to please teachers' unions, he's not likely to treat the president's son as if he were an ordinary suspect or, gasp, a Republican. Are we going to look at unequal justice here, Lawrence? Rules for Hunter Biden quite different than, say, someone who was there on January 6th.
It's so true, Pete. And I have to start at your initial point that we didn't even know. I guess we just assumed, with him being the vice president's son, that he was going to register as a foreign agent. Also, if I'm the Obama administration, I'm furious. We know that former President Obama warned Joe Biden about some of these businesses, was very upset about this. He also warned Hillary Clinton when it came to the Clinton Foundation. So the fact that they didn't even register, take that extra leap, I know he has to be fierce. Number two, if he wasn't registered, I mean, can you imagine what lengths the media went to suppress this story in the election when all they had to do is call some of their sources that are always in administrations to figure out if Hunter Biden was even registered to be doing business? I mean, this is shocking to me, Rachel.
I don't know if it's so shocking because it really shows the level of power they think they have in Washington, that you can just, if you're a Democrat, I think Dan Bongino said this last night on his show, he said that the best job in the world was to be a Democrat politician. The rules simply don't apply to you. And the way that Hunter Biden operated, even all the details about, I always say it's really not about all the hookers and the drugs and all that stuff. But in a way it is. I mean, this guy thought, my dad is so powerful, I can do whatever the heck I want. And over the course of the last few years, he has seen, people associated with the Trump administration go to jail, have their homes, raided by FBI agents in the middle of the night while they're in their underwear, taken out in their underwear in front of their house, in front of their neighbors for doing nothing, really. Or you see people from January 6th who are still, political prisoners still, are still in jail for parading outside of the Capitol, some of them inside the Capitol. It's amazing what Hunter Biden could get away with. If this actually catches up to him, it will be the best thing that happens to America, because I think the crisis right now is this unequal justice. And this is the kind of stuff that happens in the third world, where the justice system is weaponized by the people in power to against their political enemies. That's the kind of stuff that happens in other countries. Well, guess what? It's happening here in our own country, and we've seen it on full display over the last few years. It's been pretty eye-opening, to say the least.
You provide the great contrast, Rachel. The question is, will prosecutors charge him with tax evasion and foreign lobbying, the obvious things right in front of them, or is the system so stacked they can't even do that? And then Republicans, should they win in the midterms, will have another bite at the apple to actually dig deeper into how this ties to the big guy as well.
Exactly.
It's just so sad because you had all these investigations into the Trump kids who were doing actual business before they. It's not a matter of if, it's what happened before and how they treated another administration, right? Right, when there was no evidence of anything. There's still no charges or anything like that. And now you have this information and they have sat on it. So much to return into our norms. It doesn't seem like we're going to get any of that.
But remember, if this does go up all the way up to Joe Biden, and if they actually investigate this, or if another administration does, I mean, this is something we've never seen in America. This is a compromised president. This is a national security risk.
So true. We're going to be talking about that all morning. And we're going to turn to some of your headlines. A man accused of assaulting New York candidate for Governor Lee Zeldin now facing a federal charge for attacking a congressman. This after an investigation by several agencies, including the FBI and the U.S. Capitol Police. The suspect claims he didn't know why he attacked Zeldin or even who he was. Also telling investigators he had been drinking that day. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in prison, rightfully so. U.S. and Ukrainian officials accusing Russia of striking Odessa's port a day after signing an agreement to allow safe passage of grain export. Ukrainian forces say 2 cruise missiles hit Odessa's infrastructure facilities. Ukrainian First Lady Zelensky seeking help in a virtual summit yesterday hosted by Piers Morgan.
150 days of war, hundreds of mass graves in the occupied territory, and only after the liberation of our lands will we know how many children are buried here.
That summit comes as U.S. lawmakers considering putting U.S. military advisors on the ground in Ukraine. So the White House providing an update on President Biden's COVID-19 symptoms. In a letter, the president's doctor says he has body aches and a sore throat. Doctors also believe he's been infected with the BA.5 variant, the most common one in the U.S. Biden is taking Paxlovid as well as Tylenol and an inhaler for his cough. The White House is now promising daily updates on Biden's conditions. New Jersey native Sydney McLaughlin shattering records at the World Athletic Championship, setting a new record of 50.68 seconds in the women's 400-meter hurdle. The 22-year-old earning her first ever gold medal in the process, also taking home a $100,000 bonus for breaking the world record. And those are your headlines.
Thank you, Lawrence. Okay. All right, well, we're going to go to another topic here. This is a sports topic, and this is by a coach. His name is Ben Roethlisberger. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Roethlisberger.
He's a quarterback. He's a quarterback.
I don't know why
he may be a coach someday. We'll see.
Big Ben.
Why do they give me these sports headlines? I don't know. The producers just said in my ear, because they believe in me. All right, let's go. Well, anyway, this quarterback is in the news because he's been talking about how sports has changed, and specifically how sports athletes have changed. He says they're more spoiled and self-centered. Let me read you the quote, and then I'll talk to you boys to see what you guys think. He says, I feel like the game has changed. I feel like the people have changed in a sense. Maybe it's because I got spoiled when I came in. The team was so important. It was all about the team. Now it's about me and this and that and the other. I might be standing on a soapbox a little bit, but that's my biggest takeaway from when I started to the end. It started from a team first to a me type attitude. It was hard. It's hard for these young guys too. They're treated so special. They're coddled at a young age because college coaches need them to win. 2, I know Coach Terry Hopner never coddled me at Miami of Ohio. Neither did Bill Cowher. What do you guys think? He's making a good point? Have the athletes changed?
I think he's making a great point. Making a great point. By the way, look at that name, Rachel. How can you pronounce that correctly if you don't know it? I mean, you got to be in sports to know Roethlisberger, so you're forgiven. Don't worry about that.
That's right.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a total team guy. Always has been. You might call him old school. He's pointing out the obvious, that if you coddle, whether it's athletes or kids, you pump them full of false self-esteem. Everyone gets a trophy, social emotional learning. You shouldn't be surprised when it's all about me at any level. Don't look at my achievements. Don't factor in the merit. I'm special, and as a result, I should be elevated. And that's what Big Ben's pointing out here. He lived in programs, whether it was Cowher or Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, who said it's all about the name on the front of your jersey, not the name on the back. And that's changed in a lot of sports.
You know, I have no problem with the players getting their money, getting their endorsements, and having a good time and being taken care of. The problem is when it comes to the championship, and that requires a team to get that done. And as a lifelong Cowboy fan, when I see all my players, and I'm so happy for them, they get to live life, they get to get the bag, I'm proud of them. But when it comes down to the end of the day, when it getting the team together, following the coach's commands on the thing. There's a reason why Bill Parcells and Jimmy Johnson, they ran a tight ship. And you just don't see that anymore because although the players they have more power, you would think that the coaches would have the most command on the field, and it's just not that way anymore. And as you see, those big franchises that used to be the gold standard just aren't the same anymore, except for when you talk about New England or Mike Tomlin's the Steelers. The newer generation, when those old coaches have decided to retire, is just a new philosophy, Rachel.
I think it's also a new philosophy in parenting. I mean, I've seen parents whose kids, lose a match, a tennis match, or lose a game, and the kid, cries and doesn't know, isn't expected by his own parents to, man or woman up and take the loss and congratulate the other person. I mean, Pete, you have a lot of kids. You love sports. You prioritize that with them. But the point isn't that you think your kids are going to end up in the NBA or the NFL. You want them to learn something about character through the process.
Amen. They still think they're going in the NBA and the NFL, but that's not the point. That's not the point. You're right. It's the life lessons, the resilience, the humility, the determination, the forgiveness, the work ethic, all the things that you want to see out of sports. That's why sports matters. And that's what Ben Roethlisberger sort of used to see. I mean, look at guys like Kevin Durant in the NBA, just jumping around to franchises, trying to find a team. It's all about me. You don't win that way, and you don't win in life that way either. You win when you work with others and make people better at their job, which is what Ben Roethlisberger always did, scrambling out, not taking the sack and hitting a receiver 35 yards down the field.
Pete, let me tell you, I had an official coach, and then I had the unofficial coach, which was my dad. And let me tell you, he didn't play any games. If we lost the game with free throws, I knew that I was going to be at the house in front of the driveway shooting until he felt like it was time for me to come in the house because it was about the discipline. That's just how it is. It's not like they would say that's child abuse now. They would.
Yeah, he'd be reported to Child Protective Services for that. But you're right. It's a great point. Before they get to the coaches, there's stuff that happens at the house, and that's the important stuff. And there's, if you raise a good kid, there's no amount of bad coaching in terms of this topic that we're talking about that's going to undo a kid who has the heart to do it the right way and care about the team and not himself. So everything starts in the home. So that's the message, I guess. All right, we want to hear what you think about this. We want your comments, so be sure to find baby formula. This is despite President Biden flying in shipments from around the world. Our next guest is the father of a 4-month-old, Russell Bleck, and he joins us now. Russell, tell me about what happened in your family and what your struggles are.
Hey there. Yeah, so back in February, we started noticing the whole baby formula shortage. Then all of a sudden, when the campaign, when Biden said that he was going to fix things, nothing ended up happening. I haven't seen any movement in the grocery stores or anything.
Right. And so your family started getting together, helping you locate different places where you could find, formula. But you also wrote Enfamil. Is that right? The formula company itself?
Yes, I contacted Enfamil just to see if I could possibly, get some attention from them. Turns out they sent me a message, two actually, saying, hey, sorry you're going through this. Let's see what we can do to help. We're going to contact our marketing department. We're also going to we're going to send you a voucher. We're going to talk to our marketing department and see what we can do for you. Just wait for about 2 weeks. So I waited for 2 weeks. When I got that message, I pulled over immediately so I can respond back to them, And 2 weeks later, I got a $5 voucher for formula that I can't even get. And then all the formula that I've purchased on the internet, like Buy My Baby, things like that, still back ordered.
Unbelievable. So what is your family doing now? What is the situation with your 4-month-old? I can't imagine how stressful this is.
Yeah, it's really stressful. Luckily, we have family members that have come through and helped find it in the area and stuff, so we're good for another month or two. But, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't have family and
Right.
the money that are able to do this. And even when you're at the store and you're able to, purchase the bulk amount that you can get, which is usually like limited to about 4 when they have it in stock, majority of Americans don't have that kind of money. Each
Right.
can's about $18.
Yeah, the price is
And so
up.
you're literally, as a parent, putting groceries away to get formula. And in 2022 in America, I cannot believe that that's even a thing.
Yeah, it feels like we live in Cuba. First of all, I must say, because we just put your baby's picture up, most gorgeous baby ever. So congratulations on that. You're a great dad who's trying to do the right thing. And how disappointing that you wrote the formula company and that's all you got back from them. We did get a statement from Reckitt, which is the parent company of Enfamil. They said Reckitt is doing everything possible. Manufacturing facilities are operating 24/7, and the company is continually looking for more ways to increase supply while ensuring the highest levels of safety and quality. Really quick, what's your message to the president and to this administration to help alleviate this situation for parents?
Lead, be a leader. I mean, there's no captain of this ship. And let's be honest, there's nobody. Biden's just an empty vessel at this point. I don't know who's telling him these things and what to do and what to say, but I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
And this is crazy.
Well, they used to say that breast milk was liquid gold, but now formula is too. Russell, thanks for joining us this morning, and we wish you the best of luck with your gorgeous baby. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Coming up, the New York City Triathlon now underway, but in the extreme heat. We are live along the course with the cautions being taken. Plus, woke District Attorney George Gascon praising California Governor Newsom.
Begins early this morning with some warm temperatures. Let's dive right into it and see widespread. A lot of spots in the 70s, the 80s already early this morning, particularly if you live in the eastern half of the country. But we do see heat alerts from the Pacific Northwest across the center of the country and, yes, running up and down the East Coast, including New England today. Highs in the middle of the country, running up to 105 degrees. A lot of spots getting up into the 90s. So this heat just continues to be brutal. And if you live along the mid-Atlantic and then running up into New England, your feels like temperature, your heat indices climbing up into triple digits. Now, here in the Big Apple, it's not just the weather that's heating up. The competition is heating up in New York also as the New York City Triathlon is underway. We have a Fox weather correspondent, Steve Bender, joining us live. Steve.
Hey, good morning, Adam. As you just mentioned, the heat wave is on, and we're feeling it in the Big Apple. But that is not stopping the New York City Triathlon. They are underway, but they've made some adjustments. Now, this is the first leg. We're along the Hudson River. You'll see the swimmers. They're diving in, and they're swimming up, and they're starting at 81st Street to 99th Street. And then they'll get out, and they'll get into the biking portion. Now, that portion of the race has changed because of the intense heat. They've shaved it in half. So instead of biking 24 miles, they're biking 12 miles, and then the final lap or leg of it is the running portion, and that has been shaved down to 2.5 miles. As you look at the swimmers and they're going along the water here in the Hudson, water temperatures into the mid-70s. Let's talk more about those air temperatures. That's what we're racing against. Not just each other, but Mother Nature. As temperatures climb into the mid-90s here in the tri-state area, then as you had mentioned, Adam, the dew points, they're starting to climb here along the East Coast. So they're in the 60s and lower 70s. That's that sweltering, oppressive, soupy feel. And when you combine that together, you get your feels-like temperature, the heat index, where it gets to the triple digits or more. That's what we're trying to avoid. Because of the early start of this race and the shortened length of the race, they're hoping to get everybody across the finish line by 10 a.m. to avoid the heat of the day. We look back at 2019. That was the last time this triathlon was canceled. When we look at today, similar temperatures, but thankfully everything is underway, and it looks like we've had a good start so far. And I'll tell you what, yesterday on Fox and Friends, I saw Pete Hegseth in Fox Plaza, and he was doing great with the basketball. So, Pete, I got to ask you, have you ever done a triathlon? Is this your kind of race?
I have not, Steve. No, I can't. I mean, I did swim in the Hudson, but I can't run more than like 3 miles these days. My ankles are shot, man. So maybe I'll give it a mini triathlon at some point. I appreciate you, brother. Great report there. And I would not be able to finish that, for sure. All right. California Governor Gavin Newsom earning high praise from controversial LA DA George Gascon over his new gun control laws. The fellow progressive thanking the governor for his tough limits on firearms, claiming, quote, these sensible measures will stop the deadly epidemic of gun violence. It comes as Gascon faces growing outrage over his soft on crime policies, releasing criminals who have gone on to commit even more violent crimes, like this convicted murderer, released just 6 years into a 50-year sentence and now already back behind bars on gun and drug charges. Rubin Report host and former L.A. resident Dave Rubin is here to react. Dave, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Pete.
Great
you
to
can
see
call
you.
me Proud New Floridian.
Proud
actually.
New
They
Floridian.
can put that under my name.
I said, how
that
is
would be
Florida?
good.
You said,
I'm never leaving.
Never
I'm
leaving.
being buried in the Everglades. This is it for me.
you don't miss it one bit.
I do not, and it's exactly because of those two guys. I mean, the policies of Newsom, Gascon, Garcetti in L.A., everything they've done up in San Francisco. It's like if you want to be around homelessness, if you want crime everywhere, if you want a defunded police, if you want to catch and release criminals, the list goes on, then you should go to California. And don't forget all the high taxes that you get to pay and the services that simply don't work. Or you can move here to Florida, where there is a sense that freedom exists, that individual rights exist, that law and order exists, and all those things. So the choice is pretty obvious,
actually. And it feels like it ends up permeating everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's an uncertainty and uneasiness in an environment of a place like Los Angeles, where when you go to somewhere like Florida, where you at least understand that there is law and order and an understanding of consequences, it trickles throughout everything.
Oh, it trickles through everything because people think this is just policy. Like, oh, if I just stay out of a high crime neighborhood or if I stay away from the homeless shelter or something like that, that I'll be okay. But actually, it's the spirit of the people. I mean, one of the things that's going on here in Florida that's so awesome that I'm seeing here at Turning Point and all over the state is that people are excited to be here. You know, you meet people. Hey, welcome to Florida. We're so happy to have you. They are proud of the American flag. They're proud that this state and especially our governor has stood up against Fauci and lockdowns and all of those things. Where California, you know, it's sort of becoming almost like a zombie movie where you feel like everybody's just kind of going along. The light in their eyes is kind of not there because they are accepting that the government at any time can say to them, hey, we're locking you down. Hey, we're releasing criminals on the streets. Your life has very little to do with the consequences that you put into the world. It's just that the machine is going to decide what to do at any point. And it's just so obvious. I mean, I would welcome anyone watching this. Spend a weekend in Florida, spend a weekend in Cali, and figure out which one is better.
Yeah. The weather is what kept people there for the longest time.
Look, it's humid here, and I'm a little dewy, but it's all right, man. It's all right.
Hey, I'll take it for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you're about to hit the stage.
Yes.
At about 8:30. So, by the way, Fox Nation, foxnation.com, you can watch all of the speeches here at the Student Action Summit, Dave Rubin being one of them. What are you going to share with this young audience?
Well, it's going to be a little bit about that because I think my life is a perfect example of what's going on in the country right now as we realize that red states and blue states are very different, that you can live in a place that's more in line with your values values. I moved to Florida on December 17th, 2021. It is etched in my mind forever, and I in many ways feel like I'm living in a new country, and I'm here to fight to keep it free, and that's really going to be the message. And then with that is just sort of the message of what I would say is sort of a new conservatism, which is really, we believe in reality. We believe in sanity. We believe in the things that we all used to believe, you know, say 5 years ago, like 2 + 2 is 4, and boys and girls are different, and being not racist is good enough. Stuff that we all accepted that now is up in the air again. I think that's a very wide tent conservative movement right now, and you don't even have to call it conservative. It's just a move. There's one party that's roughly sane, and there's one party that's completely bananas, and that actually is a perfect metaphor for Cali and Florida as well.
It's true. The sanity party, the sanity movement. It is really a back to basics moment.
You could call it the sanity party. It kind of works here in Florida. You got it.
It does kind of work. He was on the stage. Trump was on the stage. Ruben will be on the stage today, and I'll join you after that. Really great to see you.
Good to see you, man.
And enjoy Florida.
Thanks.
All of us are going to join you at some point.
Everyone's welcome.
That's the cool part.
Well, you're welcome. Your viewers are welcome.
Don't bring your politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Help keep it this way. By the way, Kayleigh McEnany, you just saw it on your screen, hosting All Access Live. We'll give you the latest and greatest of all the speeches here at Turning Point. Dave, thanks a lot. All right, coming up, another global health emergency. The World Health Organization sounding the alarm on monkeypox as we learn.